guitar, call her out to her a soprano. I met Caroline last year when I was playing bass with Opera Kitchener, and she was playing the role of Zerlina in Don Giovanni. And watching her from the pit, I realized this is a woman who I need to have in this concert. I've never heard somebody who could sing as high, as fast, and as powerfully as Caroline. And for more than 5 years, this song has just had a synthesizer on the top. And really, the machine can't compare to a human being. And the sound of a synthesizer cannot compare to Caroline's beautiful color soprano. So thank you, Caroline, for joining us. And this song is called Tritone City.
Oh
Derry, everyone. The next song is a little bit of a departure from normalcy. I guess this whole concert is a departure from normalcy, but this one especially because this one is basically about celebrating cold weather. It's called Arctic Sovereignty, and you can kind of envision a windswept tundra landscape. The Arctic is in the news a lot right now with climate change and with the Arctic Council trying to figure out what to do with its resources and sovereignty issues. So this song is mostly about the relationship between human beings and the natural world. The Arctic is a very sensitive area. If there were to be an oil spill up there, it would take a very long time to recover. And it meant that kind of fragile ecosystem. You have these convergent stresses of melting north with an opening North Sea route and Northwest Passage, and that means more trade shipping and more oil tankers going through there. So this song is kind of about bringing attention to that issue. And a side note is the original title for the song was actually Bikini Atoll, which is about as far from the Arctic as you can get. And the song actually begins with something that sounds like explosions or thunder. I prefer thunder as a pacifist Mennonite. John's more of a stiff-necked Protestant. I think he likes the bombs. I should stop talking. But the idea here again, relationship between humans and nature, is that Bikini Atoll, as John told me once, was the main testing ground for nuclear weapons in the 50s and 60s. And a lot of scientists thought that atoll, the islands there, would never regenerate, that life would never return after the nuclear holocaust that had been administered on those islands. And yet within 10, 15 years, the plants were back, the insects were back, and it's just kind of a beautiful example of the ability of life to the resiliency of life to respond to whatever human beings can throw at it. So, kind of a message of hope in a rather dire circumstance that we're facing with respect to climate change. So, this one's called Arctic Sovereignty or Bikini Atoll. juncture because it's also a defense of the length of the song. So sustainability, as defined by the Brundtland Commission, which developed around the Rio Summit in the late 80s, early 90s, defines sustainability as meeting the needs of today's generations without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. Which, to me, just is a beautiful goal and sort of an aspiration for how we can, go about thinking about what actions to take. And I think a lot of us, when we think of sustainability, we think of the green movement, or we think about local food and flying less and using less hydrocarbons. But one of the interesting things, kind of as a mathematician, from a logical point of view, is what does it mean for any generation to act in a way that won't hinder the ability of future generations to meet their needs? The First Nations have this idea of the seventh generation. And if you carry that through, the kind of implication is look into the distant future and look 1,000, 2,000 years from now, what are we going to be doing as a species? And so Star Cruiser is kind of the vein of Beyond Earth. Houston, we have amazing. This is an exhibit that's at the Science Center right now. And it's not too serious. It's really kind of as close as we're getting to sci-fi tonight. But we have a video to accompany it, and we invite you to imagine human beings circa, would that be 2100? Star Cruiser. to basically the inaugural performance of this program, and we look forward to seeing you in future shows, and feel free to stick around. We have to strike the set, but you're welcome to hang out in the building pretty much as long as you want. Don't tell Lynn, the pastor, that I said that. Oh, one other announcement. Raha Javanfar, our lighting technician, lighting designer, could not have had this emotional impact without her. Raha has worked on the Galileo project with Apple Music. She's going to be touring the U.S. with Apple Music for their new show. She's a staple at the Much Music Video Awards. Thank you so much, Raha. Another round of applause. I'm happy to be back here at the video weekend here.
You do encore? Are they sustainable?